what if the clones never had inhibitor chips? Let's explore the depths of this scenario in the video. Commander Cody looks over at the Chancellor, pausing for a moment, but then nods.
"It will be done, my lord."
As the hologram disappears, Cody looks at the troopers around him and bites his lip. He can't simply ignore a direct order from the Chancellor, but the news is so sudden and so drastic that he doesn't have an opportunity to verify its claims. Good soldiers follow orders. It's a popular mantra he hears from many of his brothers, and one they follow almost religiously. But Cody isn't one of them. Finally, he looks at the troops around him.
"Tell the general I must speak to him immediately when he returns, and make sure it's done in public."
The dilemma Cody is experiencing is something thousands of clone commanders across the galaxy share as they receive these secret commands. While many end up fulfilling the orders, others openly refuse. Elsewhere, Yoda feels the screams as hundreds of Jedi fall and glances at his guards suspiciously. But then Commander Gree lowers his blaster and approaches him.
"General, you must get out of here now. There is some trouble in the Senate, and I think the Jedi have been outlawed."
The chaos is greatest on Coruscant, where different clone divisions have divided loyalty. While the Coruscant Guard is loyal to Palpatine, the same isn't true about the 501st. As Anakin prepares to march on the Jedi Temple, he can sense the hesitation of the clones behind him. Many hesitate, and others refuse to follow outright. The dissidents make up the minority, as many of the 501st are devoted to Anakin, who quickly rounds up the dissenters and arrests them. Still, he has more than enough men to storm the temple. Within hours, the temple is burning and all the Jedi are dead. But that isn't enough for Palpatine. The surviving Jedi already proved to be a thorn in his side. Yoda and Obi-Wan manage to infiltrate the temple and alter the distress call to warn the surviving Jedi away from them. More importantly, Obi-Wan manages to confront Anakin and defeat him, leaving Palpatine's new apprentice severely injured. Over time, the surviving Jedi begin to regroup in wild space out of the Empire's control. Ahsoka and Rex set up on Bomar Monastery, where many more Jedi and clones begin to regroup there, including Yoda and Obi-Wan. They are pleased to see so many Jedi still alive, but wonder what happened. The clones explain that they had received secret commands from Chancellor Palpatine, ordering them to secretly execute the Jedi for treason. However, many clones refuse to take that order, and instead choose their loyalty over the Chancellor. While most clones agree with this sentiment, a few mutter from the shadows. Crosshair watches this meeting from a catwalk and shakes his head.
"We disobeyed orders for this. We're soldiers, Hunter, not runaways."
"Who said we're not soldiers anymore? We might just be ones of a different army."
"That's not how it works. There are rules, orders."
"When have we ever been good at following those?"
"Good soldiers follow orders. There's no changing that."
He begins to walk away before Wrecker can follow after him. Hunter shakes his head and tells him to let Crosshair cool off. However, the Bad Batch sniper isn't just getting some air. As he approaches the balcony, he reaches for his holodisc and his tracking beacon. Although most clones discarded theirs, Crosshair kept his. He smiles to himself and waits. Weeks later, a fleet of Imperial ships arrive just out of Teth's atmosphere, far outnumbering the Jedi's renegade fleet. At first, some of the Jedi choose to fight, but Obi-Wan and Yoda instead recommend them retreating and scattering their forces. They can never beat the Empire head-on, so they must survive by spreading out. Before they can leave, though, the door slides open as Crosshair marches in with a squad of clones.
"Crosshair, tell the men to prepare for evacuation." "That won't be necessary. The Empire will handle transportation for you. But you are the ones who will decide whether that's as prisoners or corpses."
"Oh, you double-crossing Hutt."
"Crosshair, what are you doing?"
"I'm not the traitor here. You are the ones who chose the Jedi over the Republic. Now, I'm only going to ask that you lay down your weapons and surrender."
The rest of the Jedi and the clones respond by readying their weapons. As Obi-Wan readies his lightsaber, he hears a comlink crackle as Plo Koon's voice shouts urgently through the call.
The Imperial troops are landing. We cannot keep them back forever. They're led by a Sith Lord.
Your choice, generals.
In response, some of the Jedi rush at him, but the sniper whips his pistol out and takes out 3 Jedi and several more clones as it bounces around the room. The others stop in their tracks, except for Ahsoka, who holds her lightsaber ready.
This isn't what soldiers do, Crosshair.
But Crosshair is unmoved. His expression hardens, and with a swift motion, he signals his men to open fire. The Jedi respond by blocking those attacks, while their loyal clones return fire. Ahsoka is the first to engage the traitors, leaping up and swirling her lightsaber around, disarming them. Rex joins the fight, firing his blasters to stun the clones. Obi-Wan deflects a flurry of shots directed his way and makes his way towards Crosshair, who fires his pistols with pinpoint accuracy. This forces Obi-Wan to defend against his attacks. Plo Koon's voice crackles through Obi-Wan's comlink once more, this time more urgent.
The Sith Lord is here. We must escape now.
Gritting his teeth, Obi-Wan swings his lightsaber at the sniper, who rolls out of the way and kicks his knee. He swings his sniper like a club at Obi-Wan's side. Before he can follow up, Ahsoka slices through the rifle and prepares to finish the job, but Crosshair fires his pistol at her, leaving her too stunned to reach him. However, the two allow the others to begin filing out of the room, pushing through the thin line of rebel clones. As they retreat, Ahsoka makes a daring move. She lunges towards Crosshair. The clone fires shot after shot, but Ahsoka manages to close the distance and kicks the weapons in his hand. At that moment, Rex throws a smoke grenade, allowing her to slip past and retreat towards the transports. As Ahsoka's ship prepares to leave, Crosshair and his men fire at them with rocket launchers. The gunship closest to her explodes as it tries to take off, but her ship manages to clear the platform. As they depart, they see a battle in the courtyard where Plo Koon is dueling against a figure all in black. The figure is a Sith Lord, and the two trade blows as the battle rages around them. Master Plo moves with incredible grace despite his age, rushing at the new arrival and pressing him relentlessly, though none of his attacks land. Even his powerful Force judgment attacks are useless. The Sith Lord seems like a mountain, unable to be moved. He blocks each attack with expert grace before shoving the Jedi Master back. Master Plo is slowly worn down as the Jedi Lord manages to land a few hits with each attack until he drives the Jedi Master to his knees. There, he raises his lightsaber and beheads Plo Koon. Unfortunately for Darth Vader, by the time he storms the temple, most of the Jedi and clones are gone. Plo's sacrifice buys them the time they need, so most of the leadership escapes. However, he does find Crosshair and his men as they fire at the retreating gunships.
Are you the one who sent the distress signal?
Yes, sir.
Why?
Because good soldiers follow orders, and are not traitors.
Good. Take these troopers into custody.
The failure of this attack further angers Palpatine and fans his distrust of the Kaminoans. He blames them for not ensuring the clones' obedience. The clones were made to be the perfect soldiers, but while they are amongst the best fighters, their independent thinking means he cannot be sure they will follow all their orders. Despite that, the price of replenishing the Imperial military is too expensive. This is where Vice Admiral Rappart comes in and offers to create an army of conscripted soldiers. If the clones cannot guarantee loyalty, they can at least train a new force to be loyal. Palpatine is intrigued by this idea and agrees to let Rampart begin training his new army. They recruit Crosshair and other rebel clones, providing them with amnesty. But the actions of large parts of the clone army sour the Empire's trust in these troopers. Although Crosshair retains his position, most of the remaining clones are assigned to far-off positions or sent to Tantus for experimentation. As the Jedi retreat to the Outer Rim, they realize it is too dangerous to regroup in a large force, as the Empire will surely track them down. Instead, Yoda makes the difficult decision to disband the Jedi Order and orders them to go their separate ways. The clone rebels are also fractured, as their officers allow their troops to do what they want, whether that's retiring, going into hiding, or continuing the fight. Those who continue split into smaller cells, with their commanders heading into different quadrants. Among the largest ones is Rex's contingent, which sets up operations in remote planets. Ahsoka decides to join him, along with Obi-Wan. They decide to hide on Kyros, where the colonists welcome them as returning heroes and allow them to set up their operations in the jungles. Many of these cells discover that they are not the only ones who have misgivings in the Outer Rim. The region is still in chaos, with independent seekers, resistance groups, and CIS holdouts fighting against the new Empire. This ensures the Jedi and clones have many places to hide. Soon, a miniature civil war breaks out as the Imperial forces attempt to flush these rebels out. Crosshair is assigned the task of hunting down these rebel cells. He's given a squad of elite troopers and manages to dismantle multiple clone resistance groups, and even manages to kill a few Jedi. As Rex settles down, he learns that the Empire has started to imprison clones who did not comply with Order 66, including many of the 501st. Among them is Fives. Rex wastes no time in organizing a rescue effort, but also decides to contact Echo.
Been a while since I heard from you, Captain.
Yeah, but I thought you might want to hear this. I found Fives.
He was last seen on Coruscant, during the storm of the Jedi Temple.
Well, it seems he didn't follow through with it. Because right now he's in prison, and they're transporting him off-world. I'm planning on intercepting that ship, but I could use some help.
All right. I'll talk to Hunter, and we'll be there. Just send the coordinates.
The prison ship departs one of the many Imperial bases in the Outer Rim. Rex and Ahsoka lead a small strike team. Their ship appears from behind the moon, firing their cannons and scattering the escort TIE fighters. Their boarding ship disables the prison ship's hyperdrive before locking onto them. Ahsoka leaps through the docking tube and throws back the guards with the Force, clearing up space for the rebels to land. Meanwhile, Rex leads a secondary force through the leech vessel and begins fighting through the halls. However, as they are fighting, the TIE fighters regroup and fire at them. Their ship begins to rock and knocks the clones around. As the TIE fighters sweep around for another attack, the Bad Batch's ship appears and lays down suppressive fire, blasting the TIE fighters and joining the attacking force. As they reach the detention level, Wrecker rips open the blast doors, revealing rows of cells. Inside, dozens of clones, including Fives.
It's good to see you, Captain. Although you're a bit late. Glad to see your sense of humor is intact. We weren't going to leave you here, though I guess this makes us even from Skako Minor. You can gloat when we get out.
Ahsoka covers the escape route as the clones file out of their cells, armed with blasters taken from fallen Imperials. Rex, Fives, Echo, and the Bad Batch hurry to capture the bridge, where Echo tries to capture what data they have left. Tech helps by hacking into the computers, but most of the data is gone. After taking what they can, the group fights their way out and leaves on the leech vessel, reuniting with the mothership before disappearing into hyperspace. When they return to Kyros, the group begins studying the data. They inform Fives that more and more clones are being imprisoned for crimes against the Empire, and how even clones who remain loyal are ending up in prison. Fives himself was sent to a prison where he was experimented on.
Do you recall the name of this prison? It's all so hazy. I don't remember anything. Does the name Tantus mean anything? Tantus? I think that name rings a bell. Slow down, brother. We'll figure it out. Where did you get that name? It was one of the only things I managed to recover from the ship's database. So all we need to do is figure out where this Tantus is.
While they are figuring that out, the situation for the Imperial clones continues to worsen, as many of them start to leave the Empire as Palpatine continues his plan to replace them and use them for Project Necromancer. But the relationship between the Empire and Kamino worsens, as the Kaminoans are furious at Palpatine blaming them for his failures. Lama Su had already taken steps to ensure their survival by convincing the Kaminoan garrison to defect. However, he realizes he cannot challenge the Empire on his own and decides to recruit help. He sends a message out to Captain Rex to appeal for his support.
Captain, I have heard of your exploits against the Empire, and I propose a solution that will be beneficial to both of us. Kamino is your home, but it is also of immense value to the Empire. I feel as if it is in our best interests to combine our forces and defend against the Imperial invasion, lest they further consolidate control of the galaxy.
Although the clones don't have any love for their creators, they see the Prime Minister's logic and consider his offer. At the same time, They finally manage to catch a breakthrough with Fives, who recalls the location of Tantus. This leaves them with 2 tasks to deal with. With their forces spread thin, they do not have the numbers to achieve both objectives. However, they cannot ignore either one, so Rex must make the difficult decision of splitting his forces. Obi-Wan will head to Kamino with most of their forces to help defend it, while Rex and Ahsoka make their way to Tantus. Ahsoka, Rex, Echo, and Fives arrive on Tantus, their ship landing in a remote area near the facility. The imposing structure looms ahead, crawling with stormtroopers. Ahsoka takes the lead, her lightsabers ready, her senses on high alert. Rex and Echo flank her, their blasters at the ready, while Fives scans the area for any signs of a trap. Once they are clear, Echo uses his robotic arm to hack into the door and open it for them. Fives watches to see the defense systems go offline, with turrets losing power and lights flickering. It's only a small window, so they hurry inside. Halfway across the hall, though, Ahsoka winces and feels a disturbance.
He's here.
Who?
The look she gives tells Rex everything.
He's supposed to be dead.
He's not. We have to move quickly. If we hurry, we might be able to slip by without him noticing us.
The knowledge leaves the squad grim-faced as they enter the main chamber. The 4 of them hurry down the halls, memories flashing through Fives as he looks around and feels it all coming back. He begins directing them through the halls, careful to avoid cameras. As they enter one of the junctions, a door slides open, and Darth Vader steps into the room, flanked by several clone assassins.
You cannot hope to succeed, Ahsoka. Surrender, and I can make it worth your while.
Ahsoka ignites her lightsabers.
I'm not here to join you, Vader. I'm here to free these men. Your men. Will you join me?
Vader steps forward, his red lightsaber igniting with a hiss. The clone assassins rush forward, engaging Rex, Echo, and Fives, ignoring electrified weapons as the trio rush at them. CX-2 hangs back and fires through his sniper while the others rush at him. The CX-3 holds up his knives and slashes at them, forcing the trio to scatter while Rex takes him on. He catches one knife and locks it in place before headbutting the clone. Meanwhile, Echo faces off against CX-4, blocking each attack from his staff, stumbling back and desperately firing his pistol at him. Beside him, Fives is going up against the heavy CX-5, grappling with him as he tries to beat him to the ground. All 3 have their separate fights while dodging shots from the sniper who fires between Ahsoka and Vader, whose duel echoes across the hall. Their lightsabers blind the nearby combatants as Ahsoka uses her ability, leaping from side to side and wall to wall, trying to keep Vader's raw power back. Ahsoka gives a swift kick, sending him stumbling back, while the Dark Lord snarls in anger, slashing his blade down and burying it into the floor where she was just standing. Ahsoka looks up and springs at him, throwing a series of quick attacks to keep him off balance, but none of these hold him back for long. She barely manages to block an attack from CX-2, then pulls him with the Force and shoves him at Vader. The Dark Lord cuts him apart before advancing on Ahsoka. Meanwhile, the fight is starting to turn for the clones. Echo stumbles against CX-4's attacks, feeling jolts of electricity surge through him each time the staff hits him. In his next attack, Echo catches it with his robotic arm and drives it into the clone assassin. His armor begins to spark before he falls limp on the ground. Rex feels pain in his face as CX-3's vibroblades slash across his cheek. His attempts to grapple are going poorly as the clone dodges each attack. He comes in close, his knives flashing and leaving him unable to dodge. As the assassin rushes again, Rex whips his blaster out and shoots him in the stomach right as the blade slashes across his other cheek. Fives goes for a similar solution as he fires his blaster at CX-5, but it doesn't seem to have much effect as the large clone continues to advance. That is until others join and pour fire on him until he drops to the ground. The trio raise their blasters towards Vader, but Ahsoka shakes her head.
No. Go free the others. I'll buy you the time you need.
The clone steps back and then hurries towards the reactor, leaving Vader to follow after her. As they enter the reactor room, she ascends the upper catwalk and uses the Force to rip the ladder out from behind her as Vader joins her. Rex and the others free the clone prisoners and arm them as quickly as they can. When he tries to contact Ahsoka, all he receives is the sound of lightsaber combat. Ahsoka manages to shout at him to get everyone out of there. Upon the narrow walkway, the two trade blows, moving back and forth along the catwalk, where Vader tries to push the young Jedi.
You are still my Padawan. There is much I can teach you if you join me.
You taught me everything already. To be true to myself, and always protect the weak. It's a shame you couldn't do the same.
She glances around, panting heavily as she feels fatigue starting to set in. Ahsoka knows she can't keep up with this any longer, and looks at the reactor underneath her. Without thinking, she leaps off and drives her lightsaber against the core, feeling the heat ripping through the protective paneling. Vader's eyes widen as the reactor overloads and sends fire churning up towards her, engulfing both of them before spreading across the entire facility. Only a prison ship containing Rex and the other clones manages to slip by. As they fly off, Rex bites his lip, but looks at his brothers.
We have to move fast. Crosshair is probably attacking Kamino by now.
One trooper, an older, bearded clone, perks up at that name. He's gaunt and unkempt, but stands up straight.
Sorry, but did you say Crosshair?
Know him?
Served with them once.
Kinda crazy. You don't know the half of it.
The stormy skies above Kamino are filled with the roar of TIE fighters and the thrum of Imperial gunships. Obi-Wan Kenobi watches this and organizes the defenses, allowing artillery fire to pour at them while deflecting blaster shots. On the lower terrace, clones including the Bad Batch are fighting against the Imperial troopers. Although the line seems to be holding, he is concerned about Crosshair and what he's planning. Suddenly, a group of clones fall to the ground, all falling by a single shot. From the gap, Crosshair marches across the bridge, followed closely by his elite squad.
Hunter! I have eyes on Crosshair!
The rest of the Bad Batch rushes to face him, but his elite squad cuts him off. One raises her flamethrower and throws a pillar of fire at them, forcing them to scatter. The remaining troopers rush them while they are off balance. Hunter is the first to react, getting close and nimbly slipping between shots as he tackles one trooper to the ground and tries to stab him with his vibroblade. The trooper raises his rifle just in time to block his attack. Tech rolls a droid popper underneath the flame trooper, disabling her weapon. With the flames dissipating, Wrecker takes this opportunity to rush forward and tackles the last elite squad apart. The trooper fires a few rounds and manages to land a hit on his shoulder, but he grabs the trooper by the belt and tosses him off the edge. Meanwhile, Tech manages to overpower his opponent too, now that she's unarmed. Lastly, Hunter manages to slide through the trooper's armor and bury his blade into his chest. But as they finish him off, they see Crosshair running into the facility, weaving through the chaos and taking out the clones with pinpoint accuracy. The rest chase after him while Obi-Wan finishes organizing the defenses. They follow him into the hallways, making his way towards the barracks. But then Crosshair suddenly whirls around and fires his sniper. Instead of shooting directly, he hits the floor and lets the shot bounce against the mirror. The rest of the Bad Batch scatters.
Not a step further.
They freeze in place and raise their hands.
You know you're not going to win this fight against all three of us.
Yeah, you saw how we thrashed your squad.
Those amateurs, please. Against you, maybe not. But look around you. We have air superiority and superior numbers. It's only a matter of time. You're fighting for nothing.
We're fighting for each other. Or have you forgotten that?
I'm not the one who forgot what it means to be a soldier. To follow orders, yes, we've all heard. But you have to consider the logic behind these orders.
Yeah. Look who we've been fighting against. They might be Regs, but they're still our brothers.
Not for long.
He glances out the tube and watches as a squadron of TIE fighters zips by, unleashing a torrent of blaster fire on a nearby building. In another space, several Imperial shuttles land, more troops. All around them, the battle is slowly turning against them. Hunter feels his comlink crackle to life, but doesn't answer it yet. Instead, he readies his vibroblade.
This is your last chance. Think about who you're fighting for. I did. And quite frankly, I like where I'm standing right now.
Crosshair squeezes the trigger, but Hunter is fast. He whirls to the side and raises his vibroblade, letting the shot bounce off the metal and directing it away. Once he's clear, the Bad Batch leader knocks Crosshair to the ground and pulls his own sniper against his throat, keeping him in a headlock.
Maybe it's about time you look at what you're fighting for.
He forces Crosshair to watch the battle unfold, seeing brothers fighting brothers, watching their home burn in the dark silhouette of Imperial ships up ahead. He thinks back to all the brothers he's lost, the ones who've turned against the Empire and were arrested. Each time he tells himself that they're traitors, but now the words start to feel hollow in his head. And then a ship emerges from hyperspace, followed by another, and then more. Dozens of ships ranging from star destroyers to small freighters rush towards the battlefield. Only then does Hunter activate his comlink.
That you, Rex?
And with some friends. We might not have much, but this is home, and we all understand it.
Rather than return to Kamino right away, he sent a message to all the other rebel cells, calling the clones and Jedi to action, telling them how Kamino is under threat, and all responded to the call. Rex and his team quickly land on the nearby landing platform. At their front, Mayday looks at Crosshair sadly.
You're supposed to be dead.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what they said. I guess I was in the way, but now I'm back, and I want answers.
For what?
I asked you before. We're good soldiers. We followed their orders. And for what? Do you have an answer?
Crosshair looks around at the Bad Batch, at Mayday, and all his brothers, scarred and battered, but not from the enemy, from the Empire. Slowly, he hangs his head.
No. I don't.
Only then does Hunter let Crosshair go, who pushes his rifle around and surrenders. With the extra reinforcements, the rebels quickly turn the tide and force the Imperial forces to retreat, leaving them to clean up the mess. Lama Su thanks them for their help and orders them to return to their posts. But Rex isn't satisfied with that.
We didn't come here for you. We came here for Kamino. It's our home just as much as yours. So I'd say we have an equal share of this place. Surely you are joking. No, I'm not. We clones sacrificed everything for this war. From the moment we were bred until the moment we were ordered to kill our friends and brothers, we were pieces in someone's game. Well, not anymore. I'm staking our claim here for the clones. We deserve a place to call our home, and if you don't agree, just say the word and we'll be out of here. All of us.
Lama Su looks around at the other clones, all of them standing beside Rex and nodding their heads. Obi-Wan appears by the doorway and folds his arms, having heard everything. Finally, Lama Su sighs.
Very well.
That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.